And we are live. What's up, homies? Welcome to the show. It's your boys, TV Hayes. And today we are here to talk, man. Y'all know I've been waiting to talk to you guys. Dude, I've been freaking waiting to talk about all this because there's a lot going on. And, there's just a few things that we need to discuss. And y'all know what I'm here to talk about today. Y'all know what I'm here to talk about, bro. So it's going to be a very fun day of talking about DCU, MCU. I don't really think we have much Marvel stuff going on, but we have a lot that we're going to yap about in regards to the DCU, in regards to lanterns, and all that. I am really excited to talk today, but welcome to the Loreverse live podcast. Please like, subscribe, and ring that and notification bell so you know when we post. I forgot I gotta go live on TikTok too, because they like to hear when we talk about some superhero stuff too. So I know it was last week y'all wanted to probably hear from me, but I honestly my voice was like gone, dude. My voice was gone. So I really wasn't able to talk as much. And as you guys hear, my voice is still not 100% back. But I was like, bro, we gotta go live today and talk because there's no way that we're not going to address some of the stuff that's been going on in the streets of the DCU. And we're going to talk about what is going on my internet. And we are going to talk about lanterns today, okay? At least for this first half. And there's so many tweets that I want to go through and talk about. But let's talk about lanterns because that shook up the internet last week. So last week, right? We saw that James Gunn had announced that there's a lantern teaser trailer that was coming out, and as being a DCU fan, I was hype. I was like, okay, finally, I've been waiting. I read obviously all of the Green Lantern stuff, the Jeff Johns stuff, and I have the Omni business right behind me, and I actually want to read those now because I read all of the Jeff Johns stuff digitally, but now that I have the actual book, I want to actually have the art in my hand and read it. And so yeah, okay, cool. So then the Lanterns trailer drops, and I myself personally, I was appalled. Okay, and I was like, I legit, like, I don't want to say I crashed out, but I was low key depressed for a smooth like 6 days. And honestly, my depression over Lanterns probably ended this morning. And I legit was so sad that I was texting my friends like, yo, like I'm truly upset about the show. And we're gonna get into why this show pissed me off. Why this show pissed me off. And if you guys are interested, I put out a video on the Loreverse channel about how, the Lanterns trailer in general just breaks a lot of lore. But that trailer is ridiculous. Spanning from him not knowing who Guy Gardner is, it seems like, from him not knowing, saying that he can't talk to aliens when the ring is supposed to translate, anyone's language so you could understand it, from the flying and no green aura around him, from we could go down the list of weird things in the Lanterns trailer of like how Jordan driving a car off of a cliff, for John Stewart to test John Stewart's Green Lanternness or whatever, which goes against how Jordan as a character. It's just really weird. It's really weird. And as I said, it honestly pissed me off. Like I was truly angry, and and a lot of y'all might not want to hear that, but I was truly angry at the trailer, and I was not happy. And the reason why is because I was just expecting a lot more. And I understand that they said that this is going to be a grounded show, and they do promise intergalactic stuff, which we're going to get into. But the trailer itself, the teaser itself, from a Green Lantern standpoint, it was trash. We got to be honest. If we were talking about a superhero show about Green Lanterns, that is a terrible trailer. And there's nothing that you can spin to make it seem like it was a good trailer. And that's just my honest opinion. There's no way on God's green earth that you could spin this Green Lantern trailer to make it seem like this was the right decision and choice. There's just no way in my eyes that that's possible. And so, as I said, even with the way that the ring works, like, bro, we didn't even get to see a construct in the actual trailer. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on there in regards to and all that, because it raises a lot of questions. And we haven't even talked about the suit yet. The suit that is in the closet, and apparently there's multiple suits, and the suit is brown. It's a brown costume, and it raises a question like, number one, why is it that why doesn't the suit just phase on to Hal Jordan, right? I mean, because that is how it works in the lore. It's rare that we see the suits on the closet. And when you guys see this tweet, I'll show you guys. People are gonna like, oh, but look, Stevie, in this comic in 1901, there's Green Lantern with the suit hanging, and it's like, bro, we're not going to freaking do this, right? Um, like, just think about this, guys. They showed us a Green Lantern trailer with no constructs, no space, no costumes on, nothing. It just looks like a Western TV show where they can fly. It kind of reminded me. I'm not sure if you guys grew up on this, but I grew up on this show called Heroes. It really reminded me of Heroes, basically where these people had superpowers, but they didn't wear costumes. That's kind of the vibes that it gave. And so this is where we are. A lot of fans erupted, and a lot of fans were pissed off, including myself. And I've been processing through the past 6 to 7 days probably at this point. Excuse me, how I felt about this trailer. And I want to tell you guys the truth. This trailer is a 1 out of 10, a 1 out of 5. Like, this is one of the worst trailers I've ever seen in my life. To promote a superhero show, to promote a teaser, your job is to get fans excited. Your job when you post a teaser trailer is to get fans hyped up about what your project is going to be. Did it do that job? No, it did not. A lot of people hate on the Superman trailer. Superman got me excited. That's another reason why I'm not the biggest fan of the Supergirl trailer. And if you guys know, I critique the Supergirl trailer really heavy because I don't think that trailer got me really excited. And my logic in my head with Supergirl was like, yo, if you're going to promote this hero that I feel like no one really cares about that much, you need to show her being violent and fighting and showing that she is just as powerful as Superman or just as cool as Superman. And I don't think in the Supergirl trailer they did that, Same thing with Lobo. You have Jason Momoa playing this character, and I don't think they sold him enough. And now we go to Lanterns, where you have a young rising star like Aaron Pierre, who I love music of Aaron Pierre, one of my favorite upcoming actors. And then you also have, not just Aaron Pierre, you have Kyle Chandler, a legendary actor that a lot of people love. And what do you do with them? Nothing. That's what you do with them. You do nothing. And so, now, as I said, and I understand that they're probably going to dive deeper into the show and we're going to get more Lantern stuff. But that's not what I'm arguing. I'm not debating whether if we're going to get better stuff in the show. I think that we are. I mean, it's pretty much common sense that we're going to get better stuff in the show. But the reality is that for this teaser, they did not show that. So anyone that is like trying to argue like, oh, like you guys are fear mongering, blah 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 blah. We don't care about that. We don't care about that, bro. What we care about, right, is what did we just see, and they did not give us that. And look, I'm an MCU fan, so I've been in the eras where I've had the cape where I'm like, oh, like I like Fantastic Four, right? Fantastic Four, I caped for that movie so hard. A lot of people were mad about the female Silver Surfer. People thought it was gonna be like a political stuff, but I'm like, no. Like, you guys just gotta see it. Like, I understand that the trailer might give you that vibe, or that casting decision might give you that vibe, but I promise you it's not. I'm sick of doing that. I'm sick of caping for these superhero projects, and I'm done. We're going to take it the way it is, and we got to call out these studios. This was a dumb decision. This was not a smart decision to put out a trailer that is like super grounded, and I blame Christopher Nolan for this, the lore murderer. Because Christopher Nolan made Batman so grounded that I feel like everybody thinks they have to still replicate that. Even with the Batman is grounded for no reason. It's stupid, because what makes Batman one of the greatest heroes of all time is that he fights against fantastical villains that are out of his league, and he still beats them. So, yeah, I was very pissed off about that, not gonna lie. But, I'm over it now. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through these tweets, and we're going to talk about what people have said. Because Stevie has come today to keep tabs on these ninjas. Okay, so we're gonna get to this first tweet here. And let me pull this up on my screen because I'm not tripping. You know what I'm saying? Oh wait, hold on a second, y'all. I can just share this right here. Hold on. 1 second. Arrange. There we go. Okay. So this tweet right here says this. I don't know what you all expected, but I thought the Lanterns trailer looked really good. An actual TV series with complex characters, a real mystery, and actual tension. This is what it looks like when you add superheroes into a real TV show rather than make a superhero TV show. What is this guy saying right now? What is this? This to me sounds ridiculous. I don't know what you all expected, but I thought the Lance trailer looked really good. Fine. That's your opinion. Okay. That is your opinion. Now, what did we all expect? We expected to see constructs. We expected to see lanterns wearing their costumes. We expected to see lanterns using their powers. We expected to see lanterns possibly in space. We expected to see Sinestro or some other character, but we didn't get any of that except cops that we don't care about and other random characters that popped up. Okay. Now, an actual TV with complex characters. Okay. Is it complex that Hal Jordan doesn't want to give up his ring to John? Someone tell me if that is complex. Someone tell me, is it complex that, that Hal Jordan has a suit that is in a closet? Is that complex? Is it complex that we still know nothing about the murder mystery at all? We got no signs or nothing. All we know is that there's something weird about this town. Is that complex and a real mystery? Is that real tension? If there's no like real things behind it, is that real? Real. That's a real question. And then the last part, this is what it looks like when you add superheroes into a real TV show rather than make a superhero TV show. Lantern should be a superhero TV show. This is not rocket science. Arrow is a superhero TV show. The Flash is a superhero TV show. Legends of Tomorrow is a superhero TV show. What is this man talking about? Why are you using intergalactic heroes to put into a real TV show? Stupid. When you could have used other characters for that. Okay. Now, here we go. This person got so upset that they made they put green on the Green Lantern costume. They put green on it. And so look, I'm gonna be honest, I think this still looks bad. I think the suit in general is just trash, in my opinion. But the green does make it look a little better, obviously. And this says it could have been so much easier. And I do think this is easy. I don't think it's hard to take this serious and, actually like put green on the suit. I don't. And this, by the way, guys, this is the original costume. Master Chief Army Green vibes. Now, another one. Yeah, make it like True Detective. And what this person is trying to say is that this is what the Green Lanterns truly are. That's the Lanterns. Not wrong. And I also think like they could use the settings that they're in and actually make it mean something. I think that they wanted to go for something different, which is why they're not adapting a real story even from the books, y'all. They're not even adapting a real story. This is their made up story, which gives them the liberty to do what they want, Greta Gerwig style. Next thing, why is the suit in his closet? The suit comes from the magical girl transformation that the ring does to you. What happened to the joy and whimsy and the game I love? Now, this is what they'll pull. Okay, this old behind comic book reference from 1901. I'm sorry. In all the main continuity, in all the main stories of Green Lantern, this does not happen. In all the main stories of Green Lantern, he does not have a costume that is in the freaking closet. When he puts on his ring, the suit comes on. Fun fact, if you are an avid comic book reader like myself, then you know that you can use a panel to make anything make sense. You use a panel to make anything make sense, y'all. That's the sad truth. Okay. Next thing here. I think this is cool. There's a theory about this. Because look, as I said, as much as I'm negative right now, there is still hope in the show. Now hear this. John Stewart probably being the main Green Lantern on Earth. Imagine these guys are white Martians, and the show is basically setting up the first Justice League movie, which directly adapts the JL animated show pilot. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is a fire theory, and if this is true, this will make me really excited because I did a YouTube video months ago where I said that I think that the Lantern show is going to give us a hint to what the bigger villain is, whether that's Brainiac, whether that's some type of space thing coming. So if it is the White Martians, this is really dope, which we get introduced to Martian Manhunter through this. And then on top of that, if you're already prepped this now, we don't need to do a Flash movie and all that. You can just put them all in the freaking Justice League movie and rock out like that and call it a day. So this is actually cool. I'm not gonna lie. I hope to gosh that this is true. Next thing, James Halls. Okay, I'm pretty sure this guy is the showrunner for the Lantern show. He said James Halls promises intergalactic elements for Lanterns. He says it won't disappoint the classic fans. Halls said we get to meet characters in quite a rooted way before it takes you intergalactic. This is good news. He said this months ago, though. Y'all not going to trick me and act like he said this last week. I remember covering this months ago, by the way. So this is good news. This isn't bad news, but like he said this months ago, fam. I'm not moved entirely. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not moved entirely. But this is good news, though, that there will be intergalactic elements. Now, what does that mean? That's the real question. It has to mean that whatever murdered what, that's what it has to do. Now, we're gonna watch this video of Damon Lindelof, okay? And this is what really pissed fans off, okay? Now, listen to this.
So, you just announced a Green Lantern show.
It's called Lanterns because we all agreed that the green was stupid. So,
right.
So now it's just Lanterns.
So, Green Lantern, the Lantern. So you can make anything you can imagine.
That if you have this magical ring,
right?
Yes.
And the fights are still close.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were pissed off, okay? And so hear this. They removed the green from the title because they thought it was stupid. That tells you everything you need to know about Lanterns. Now, I'm going to be honest. This could be rage bait because they could just be removing this because there's more than one Green Lantern. You know what I mean? It might be red lanterns and, yellow lanterns and blue lanterns. If you guys don't believe me, let me just show you this. Okay. There are different color lanterns, by the way. If you look behind Hal Jordan, there's multiple different color lanterns. TikTok, you see this? There's multiple different colors. So just to make sure you guys know that. So that's why I think it's called Lanterns. But it is funny that, people think that it's because it's grounded that they took out the green. Would be funny if that's true. Now, another guy. What's Hal's suit doing hanging on the hanger? That's not right. Are you sure? Now, let's talk about this because we need to correct some of you guys that are out here taking comic panels from like 1901, from 1850 and acting like, okay, here's the thing. You can really, in truth, y'all, you can find a comic panel to support anything you want. And that's just truth. Like, I could legit find comic panels to support BS. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I want Robert Pattinson to be Batman for the DCU, right? All I got to do is find a comic panel where Batman looks the closest to Robert Pattinson with Superman and just push that narrative. All I got to do. Any theory you want, almost, you can push with a comic panel. And that's just the hard truth. The hard truth is that you could just comic panel farm, bro. So it makes this thing stupid. Okay, you are ridiculous if you're gonna pull a comic panel from 1905, a comic that you probably didn't even read. You know what I'm saying? Probably didn't even read this comic, bro. So stop the cap. Okay, now let's read this. Ethan Van Sciver, Green Lantern comic book artist, reveals the show is called Lanterns because it features other colors too. Let's see. He adds that Sinestro will appear in every episode. That's crazy. I saw a theory online where they said they think that Sinestro was trying to get his one last lick on Hal Jordan to kill him. But anyways, the show is called Lanterns because it will introduce other colors on the spectrum, at least yellow. The show looks great. It looks like it's being taken seriously as an adult drama mystery first, and a superhero thing second. Obviously, they're holding back the green constructs and the superhero stuff in this trailer. Sinestro is in every episode, and we don't see him in these 2 minutes. There is a reason for that. They're holding their fire. I have a feeling this show will win Emmys. The cast is solid. They seem inspired by Zach Kregler and Nick Pizzolatto. We're in it for something substantial. Now, I will say to y'all homies, man, this sounds promising. But if that's the case, why would you hide your fire in the trailer? You're coming off of a Green Lantern movie that a lot of people hated. You're coming off of, us not seeing Green Lantern in a long time. Why would you hold back? What is there to hide that fans can't get excited about, that they will be excited? Like, it's not like we're going to see it in the trailer and then not care on the show. This is a show that this is your first time putting out a show like this. You should go to bat and give us the greatest trailer possible. I just think that's common sense. Like, guys, am I crazy for thinking that? Somebody let me know. All right, now, this is cool. Shout out to this guy, Goodnight Drew. He said, okay, after rewatching the trailer, I have a theory. So there was a rumor that the show would have a time jump. Very interesting. I think that these scenes are very early in the show. John witnesses something. The villains capture him and erase his mind. Now, the second part. Hal was his partner for a while, but after John forgot his memory, he has to reintroduce himself. After 2 months, he is hesitant to give John the ring back because he's trying to gain information about what John has seen first. The premise is about him jogging John's memory. Honestly, I'm probably totally wrong, LOL. Now, let's talk about what could be real, okay? Could there be a time jump? So could this be a quick scene that we time jump 2 to 3 years? I don't think so, because why would we time jump and they're still on this stupid planet solving this whack earthly mystery? That would be whack. Or would it be like they couldn't solve this mystery? They dipped. John got the ring. He's a full-fledged lantern. And then the Guardians call him back like, bro, you got to figure out what's going on with this freaking murder, bro. And by the way, if any of y'all think that Alan Scott is the murderer that they're investigating, you're insane. It has to be Guy Gardner. And I think that Guy Gardner's ring, his ring, is what John is going to take. I think Guy Gardner gets insanely injured or reaches near death, and then John Stewart takes the ring, possibly. Yeah. I also don't think that there's just one ring. Call me crazy, but I don't. There has to be another ring. Unless they're just going to retire Hal. John witnesses something the villains capture and erase his mind. I don't believe this. I don't believe this at all. I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. But I don't think it's erasing the mind. I think they're just trying to put him to sleep or something. Who knows? And not to mention, the way that John Stewart works is that with his Green Lantern ring, the reasons why his eyes are so green is because, like, the ring is coursing through his veins. It's a part of his, like, anatomy. So maybe they're trying to drain that out of him to make him less powerful. I don't know. Another tweet here. The Green Lanterns have to earn the green. Supergirl is going to learn to be happy and kind. Okay, Aquaman is going to learn how to swim. You guys sound stupid. I think this is caping for Lanterns. But I thought it was just very interesting. Why is the Supergirl one bad? Because Kara is happy and kind. She's selfless and sweet and nice, and she lights up a room. She isn't a depressed alcoholic that has to learn to be a good hero. She is a good hero. Always has been. There's nothing wrong with those things. But this isn't Kara. Learning empathy isn't something that Kara has ever had to do. She's an empathetic person inherently. Okay, this person is capable for Kara. I'm not going to sit here and read all that. But I do think that, given the trailer, that's what this can evolve. That the Green Lanterns have to earn the green. And now what this poses, right? What this poses is now a situation where it seems like the Lanterns might not be able to have phased on suits and stuff like that. So does it mean that John Stewart is going to be the poster boy for getting all the good stuff? Now, Hal Jordan, the greatest Lantern. Let me make this ring to fit the theme here. There we go. So now you're going to tell me that Hal Jordan, the greatest Lantern of all time, who has all of the good stories, he did not set up he did not get the phased on suit and all that, but John is crazy. Crazy stuff. Okay, Ron Mars. Let's talk about this guy. This one pissed me off last week. He said this. I like the teaser. I don't know how we got to a point where some people think they have to complain about everything that doesn't please them. Maybe you should find something you like and focus on that. Ron Mars, how about we focus on the fact that your glasses are ugly? How about that, Ron Mars? Ron Mars, how about we focus on the fact that the material on your mesh zip up, it looks corny? How about we talk about the fact that you're an old head? How about we talk about that, Ron Mars? How about we talk about the fact that you're trying to dismiss fans' opinion and being a petty little baby because we don't like something that you like? Shut up, bro. Shut up, you idiots. This is the problem with some of these idiots in Hollywood. They like the second you don't like something, they go and cry about it like little baby girls. No. Screw you, Ron Mars. You don't know what you're talking about. Iconic writer, my butt. I don't care who you are. You're not going to tell me that my opinion isn't valid, brother. Sorry, buddy. Oh my goodness. So this guy's an idiot. Okay, this guy's an idiot because there are real fans that have valid opinions, and you're just saying they have like we have a duty and a right to have an opinion. And sorry, bro, the teaser's trash. The teaser's trash. Sorry to tell you, buddy. So screw that guy, okay? Ron Mars, that was an idiotic statement to make. Mind you guys, this is the same dude that glazed the freaking Joss Whedon Justice League. The North never forgets, brother. The North never forgets. I remember when this guy was caping for the Joss Whedon Justice League movie. The North never forgets, okay? I never forget a caper. This dude's a caper. He's a caper, bro. So, Ron Mars, look at these glasses, yo. This old head trying to tell us that we're complaining. Look at this dude, bro. Let me just see if I got lucky. I can't even zoom in. Look at this old head. Like, come on. You tell me this old head can sit here and tell us that we are complaining or that we can't complain? Look at this old head, yo. Look at him. Come on, bro. Miss me with that, bro. Miss me with that. Like, if you're gonna say this, bro, at least have aura. Do like a proof. Okay. Next, like, this is what makes me crash out, bro. Some people say, okay, now this is something cool. This is a good thing, positive thing. Okay. Lanterns looks, by the way, shout out to Ethan Van Sciver. Don't know who he is. If he says something crazy or racist, I don't know, but I just like this tweet. Just put that out there. Okay. Lanterns looks to be about Hal Jordan preparing to retire and turn the ring over to Jon Stewart. That is what the teaser is giving. Evidently, Sinestro has followed him to Earth and wants his final revenge on Hal while he's still Green Lantern. I like that even more. If Sinestro is showing up in every episode, that makes a complete sense. Sinestro appears in all 8 episodes of the show. That's the second time we've heard this, which means this is probably true. I'm not gonna lie. Now, hear this guy. It's my suspicion that the town is under Sinestro's power and the people are Yellow Lanterns, very much like the movie Weapons. Not gonna lie, yo. That is cooking. That is cooking right there, bro. That is cooking. Looks like Guy Gardner's in every episode too. And if IMDb is to be trusted, and also we'll see young Hal Jordan for an episode, maybe his father's death scene. If this is true, this changes the game for the show, which I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if the show was this crazy. It's just, why would you put out that terrible teaser trailer? Why? Another one, Theory. DC Unlimited. Shout outs to them. Don't know who they are. Theory. I think no Lantern has unlocked the real possibility of fully connecting their power ring, which is why they can't create their own energy suits. I think the rookie Jon Stewart will be the first Green Lantern to achieve it. I don't know. I like the idea. I don't like the idea, but it's probably going to happen. Hal Jordan should have been the first one to unlock it. He has the greatest will. And the aura and all that around you is based on your will too. So, you know. All right. Now, These are all of the official DCU projects we have gotten or will get so far. 2025 through 2027. 7 movies and shows in a 3-year period. For people saying Gunn isn't following a plan or going too slow, what more do you want? Be patient. The universe has just started. Okay, now I don't think any of that is why the DCU is a little underwhelming to me right now. Let's talk about it. Superman, masterpiece. Okay. As much as I have a lot of opinions about the movie, but I still think the movie's good. I rewatch it often. And I had a season where this movie was kind of making a downturn for me, but now I'm actually really starting to like the Superman movie again. It's pretty cool. But here's the thing. When it comes to the DCU, it isn't that I don't like the DCU. It's just that some of the projects don't mean anything to me. Creature Commandos, I don't give a crap about the Creature Commandos. Peacemaker, I don't give a crap about Peacemaker. Clayface, I don't give a crap about Clayface, So to me, it's not about volume, but it's about the characters that you're focusing on. And I always expected that James Gunn was going to focus on the A-list characters in the DCU, and he is not. And that, guys, ladies and gentlemen, is what frustrates Stevie Hayes. That's what pisses me off, is that they're not focusing on the stuff that they could be cooking on that matters, if that makes sense. And I just don't think money is a problem and all that stuff that they talk about. Okay, here's this guy, Royal Majesty. He has some really good stuff in general. He says, I've seen so much dooming and oh my gosh, there's a lot of chats in here and fear mongering on here. And guys, I promise I'm going to answer your chat. I promise you guys. I've seen so much dooming and fear mongering on here that the show will be bad over such level things like a suit and a lack of green aura. Did y'all forget the showrunner that did Ozark and produced True Detective? I don't think the writing is going to be bad in the show. I would never think such thing. I think when the show gets going, it's going to be fire. My problem is the teaser and what was shown. I think there's a reason behind everything that we saw, but why would you put it that way? It's about the way that you position your projects. And one of my biggest critiques about the MCU in its season that it's been in is that I am not a fan of how the MCU has positioned their projects. And it's the same thing with the DCU. I'm not a fan of the positioning of their projects. So I know I just spent like 32 minutes. And honestly, guys, I thought I was going to spend like an hour. I'm not going to lie to you guys talking about lanterns, but let's hit these chats. Okay, yeah, true. I'm surprised we didn't even see shades of green we're getting for the contract. Exactly. And as we know we're going to get them, but it's like, why not show them? Can't even blame Paramount for how it looks out here, right? Isn't there meant to be just 1 or 2 Green Lanterns on the whole Earth? So it doesn't make sense to me why the scale is so small. It's very true. Very true. And there's something weird. And as I said, guys, when Guy Gardner popped up as Superman with that Maxwell Lord suit, man, something's wrong with the Lanterns. And I think that's a big part of the show that wasn't touched on, but something's going on with Oa. Because also, right, this is the other question. Why would Hal Jordan be training John Stewart on Earth? Lanterns get trained on Oa, if you guys know the Green Lantern lore. So that's another thing to really think about. Why is he training? Is Oa cooked right now? Like, what's going on? I'm going to wait till the show comes out because the writer or director or whatever said the show won't disappoint classic Green Lantern fans. You're right. He did say that. For we all know everything we saw in the trailer could have been just for the first episode. Exactly. And I just don't think they should have shown that, bro. That's why I'm waiting for the show to come out. So, Hugger Almighty, you hated it too. You did not like the trailer too. I know that's what you're trying to say. You hated the trailer, but you understand that the show that the show is going to show more. And I respect that. But for me personally, if you're trying to market a show to fans, why would you give us that bad trash? And that's my whole entire argument about just DC's move with, doing this. I just think that's mega stupid. Okay. 1 second here. Is there for real a possibility to see more than just Green Lanterns? I believe, brother, I believe it's very possible. I believe it's very, very possible. I just don't know what we're going to get, but I do think we're going to see something really cool. I think we're going to see a bunch of different color lanterns. That will be pretty sick. I agree. Okay, it gets me so tight when people on the internet pretend or try to pretend like they read comics. Exactly, bro. And look, I was not a avid comic reader when I first got into this. And my old co-host, he kept telling me, he said, bro, read, bro, read, bro, read. And when I read, bro, like it opened my eyes to really understanding why he will always get so mad. And I'm like, bro, I understand why you get so angry now, because it's like it's very clear about certain things, and that's why this Landry show pissed me off so much. Because when you read Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, which is arguably my favorite run of all time, like, bro, it's goated. When you read that and you watch this show, you see the teaser, you're like, bro, what the heck? Was this person assaulted for the show? I don't know who you're talking about. Facts, they actually needed to make up for previous failures. Facts. Like, you can tell they don't reread comics through examples like, Shuri was Black Panther in the comics, right? We don't need T'Challa cast it. Exactly, bro. When what they don't understand is that Shuri and T'Challa were both Black Panther at the same time. If they're pulling from New Avengers, if you're trying to pull from like the Hickman Avengers storyline, you know what I'm saying? And also Shuri wasn't ever really the genius. T'Challa's the genius. Something that they needed to land with this recast. When John was originally created, guy got injured and John replaced him. It wouldn't surprise me if we're about to see same two. And that's what I think. That's what I think. And that's why I said, like, this ring has to be like the second ring. I think Hal has his own ring. I really do. Like, there's no way they get rid of Hal but keep God. That's so disrespectful on so many levels. I agree. But they love fat Nathan Fillion, bro. Let's hope that he doesn't stay. I'm not a fan. Ron Mars has lost the plot. yeah, bro. Exactly. Ron Mars is an actual idiot. I like to try to blame fans for having an opinion and not liking something is crazy. When most like, look, I will be honest with Superman. I think a lot of people were over the top with some of their critiques, and this is coming from someone who was very critical of Superman while loving it at the same time. Like, the Superman stuff was so OP. The Lantern's complaints are mostly valid, bro. Just saying, a lot of the critiques are very valid, and I feel like people like Ron Mars, they're just trying to like discount everything. That's not genuine and not cool. The fans are owed respect for making the industry what it is today. I agree. I love the trailer. DC needed something gritty. I don't care about the nitpicks. I can't say it's trash off of 2 minutes. Just wait and see. Sinestro is cast. There will be playing cosmic stuff. But here's the thing about this Bloody Knuckles. Love the freaking name. Bloody Knuckles Show and Awards Spot. I don't know what that means. Cool name, though. The thing is, though, right, is that like, if you're trying to show me a show on Lantern to get me excited, this is not the teaser you use. You could make the Lantern trailer gritty and have all the space stuff and show us the Lanterns using their powers. Do we know the actor for Sinestro? Yes, I forget his name. I'm about to type it up. Who is cast as Sinestro on Lanterns? Okay, let's see. It is Ulrich Tomlinson, and I think he's gonna be great. All I've heard about him was great things. I think he's gonna be cool. You went sauce. People will be saying another Guardian show. There's a ton of cosmic threats. Give it a chance. I'm giving it a chance. I'm going to watch the show. This is what you guys have to understand. I do not doubt the show. Okay, I think the show's gonna be fire. My problem is the teaser trailer. I think the teaser trailer is terrible. Is it true Iron Man was a B-list character before RDJ played him in MCU? That is 100% correct. Iron Man was not an A-list character. I remember getting an Iron Man comic when I was in 4th grade, which would be 2004 or 2005, or whatever that was. And I remember, like, bro, like, I was showing my friends Iron Man. No, I was a 4. I was in 4th grade. I don't know how old you are in 4th grade, but I was probably like 8 or 9 or 10. And I remember I showed my friend the Iron Man comic, and they said, "Who is this corny robot man?" That's legit what my friends said to me. And RDJ is the one that made like Iron Man a household name. Yeah, I didn't like the trailer, and I'm hoping for more. Yeah, exactly. It's Hunger Mighty. I respect that. O Ish says he voiced for animated series. Yes, it's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty cool. I heard that Orange. I heard he's gonna kill it in that show, which is exciting. Okay, now let's get to the next topic here. So apparently, according, and this is a rumor, guys. Okay, guys, because I feel like I have bad luck every time I talk about a rumor. James Gunn pops up like the freaking boogeyman, bro. Every time. So we're gonna keep. I'm gonna make sure that we are very clear. This is a rumor. The rumor is that Batman will have no appearance or cameo in DC Studios Clayface. Okay, that's the rumor. Now, would I be surprised by this? No, I'm not surprised. The reason why I'm not shocked that Clayface wouldn't be in this movie is because of the fact that they don't have a Batman casted, and the focus is clearly Robert Pattinson's Batman. It's been very clear about that. We all know that James Gunn wanted Robert Pattinson to be Batman for the DCU. Robert Pattinson even talked about being interested in playing Batman. But obviously, guys, that is not the case. And that's totally fine, Matt Reeves, I guess, didn't want to do it. So I'm not shocked that Batman is not appearing in the Clayface movie. And you guys know me. I am not a fan of the Clayface movie. I think this is stupid. I think this is dumb. I think that doing a Clayface movie is like doing like the Sony Venom verse. Why is it that villains get projects? I'll never understand it. I think villain-led projects are stupid. They're villains for a reason. They need the heroes to drive them further. I wouldn't have been against even putting a Bat family member to go against Clayface like a Nightwing or someone like that. If you can't use Batman, I think there were other avenues for them to be able to compensate for not having the Dark Knight, but they didn't use it, which I'm not a big fan of. And I understand that they moved this movie to come out around the time of Halloween. I don't think that's going to really help anything either, to be honest. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Clayface decision. Now, could this movie be good? Yes. But to me, this isn't about is the movie good. This is the same thing that I've said about Marvel Studios. Bad positioning for the universe. This is not going to push the narrative forward. And I think when you're establishing a universe right now, every project that you have needs to be able to push, needs to be able to push the DCU forward. And that's my issue. I need more pushing it forward. And with most of these projects, I'm not getting that, I'm not. So that's why that's what I need to see. And the question is, right? The question is, if Batman is not in this, how does this push the DCU forward? And James Gunn said before that like each project is its own thing, but then Peacemaker is not that. Peacemaker was made to push the DCU forward. It was, and it suffered in plot because of that. So I wonder what the use of Clayface is. Is the use of Clayface, right? Is it to establish that the Batman world is fantastical? Is that the goal? I think you could have done that, and you could have just waited and done that in the Batman movie rather than a Clayface movie. Let's see. Here's the main problem with the whole Iron Man was a B-lister before the MCU. I hate it when people act like Iron Man and characters like the Guardians were on the same level before the MCU. Dude, I didn't even know who the Guardians were until the MCU. Cameo chances for Man of Tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know, bro. There was a point to where I thought that Man of Tomorrow was going to be like a low-key Justice League, like Captain America Civil War, where because they were going to be using the I forget the storyline. Oh, I can't think about it right now. But they were going to use a storyline where Superman basically has to get the heroes of the world to fight against a threat. And I thought that they were going to try to use that. And I still think Lex is going to merge with Brainiac to bring a different type of evil later on and all that. That will make the Just League form. Might be the Martian as well. Who knows? But I don't know, man. I don't know. I would have loved like a Wonder Woman or something like that. But James Gunn is like debunked everything. So who knows? But I will say this. I think Aaron Pierre is in that movie. I 100% do. My hope is that Brave and the Bold releases 2028. I actually believe Gunn when he said the Brave and the Bold will release before 2030. Gunn said before 2030. Now, if he's not lying, what do you think is more likely, 2028 or 2029? I would say 2029, bro, only because what you got to factor in is that Man of Tomorrow comes out next year, right? So they got to do a press run. What is the release? Whoa, this is what will let me hold on. What is the release date for Man of Tomorrow? DCU. Let's see. Let's see what the release date is. So the release date of Man of Tomorrow is July 9th, 2027. So you gotta factor in the fact, bro. There's gonna be a giant press run, multiple podcasts, multiple conversations, all that. So, and then that means that James Gunn will theoretically might have to go right back into filming because he might be directing the movie or have to work close with the director of it. And Andy Muschietti, who knows what's going on, is the script done? Like, could that be done by next year? At the rate that we're going, I don't think so. Because here's the thing, right? Where is all of the DCU focus going to? Hungry Almighty? It's going to Man of Tomorrow. That's where I'm being honest, bro. That's where the focus is going. Superman is the most important. Superman is the biggest priority in the DCU right now, which is one of the reasons why I think the universe isn't doing a great job. Superman shouldn't be the only priority, but he is. And so Gunn's focus is going to go on all that. So the question is he going to trust Andy and them to do a Batman while he's doing Superman stuff? I would say no. I would say no. That's his most important character. There's no way. And if I'm James Gunn, I would want to be hella involved. I would. Like, there's no way that I'm not going to be involved with the biggest character of all time that could decide whether if my universe is a flop or not. Because Man of Tomorrow isn't going to decide whether if the DC was a flop. I think Man of Tomorrow is going to do $700 to $800 million. I think Man of Tomorrow is going to be the best DC film ever made. I think Man of Tomorrow is going to be the best Superman movie ever. I really do. So, that calls a lot into question, man. They aren't doing a great job of giving us Easter eggs and teasers for what's coming, aka world building. I feel like we're hella in the dark and just speculating broadly. That's what we are doing. And I don't mind speculating, but speculating for the DCU has been hard because bro just debunks everything. That's what gets under my skin with James Gunn. Okay. Now, next question here. Does Marvel need an absolute universe? This has been a question that has been brought to my attention, and I really thought about this. So if you think about the comic space, right? DC is killing Marvel, bro, in comics. And, there was a moment where, and look, I'm going to be real with you. I think the greatest Marvel stories ever, right? Like, we're talking like House of M, Hickman's Fantastic Four, Hickman's Avengers run, all that. I think their best stories are better than DC's best stories. That's just my opinion. But we got to be real. DC is kicking Marvel's butt in comics. And a lot of people want to say it's the absolute universe. But I'm not going to say. But I don't think it's just the absolute universe. DC KO is fire. Okay. It just ended, actually. Cool. Also, I'm not sure if you guys are reading the current Superman run. Hard, bro. Fire. There's a current Batman run right now with George Jimenez. That run is sick. Okay. Then we got Absolute Batman. We got Absolute Superman, Absolute Flash, Absolute Martian Manhunter. The only ones that I'm reading is Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman. And as I said, yes, I think it's Absolute Superman issue number, 13. It's the greatest single issue I've ever read in my life. It's the only comic book issue that I cried to profusely, whatever that word is. When I read issue 13 of Absolute Superman, wait, let me just make sure that's the right issue. Hold on. Let me make sure. I think it's issue. Is it 13? I just gotta find an image. Or no, I think it might be 14. Hold on, y'all. Where? Which one's this? Sorry, my guys. If you have the chance, read Absolute Superman issue number 15. It kind of starts like a new era for Absolute Superman. I legit cried tears reading that. And what you got to do is you got to turn on the Superman theme and put on your headphone to read it. You will cry. I legit cried. Now, Marvel, on the other hand, okay, let me just tell you about what was going on with Marvel Comics, right? So, obviously, the Ultimate Universe was like kind of important. Ultimate Spider-Man just ended. And I feel like a lot of fans don't care about it. I just saw like somebody put up a video like earlier saying that Ultimate Spider-Man kind of is trash or it ended trash. And so where I'm at is like, and then there was like Ultimate Endgame, which I was really, really excited for. And when me and my boy Carter picked up the first issue in December, first issue was okay, second issue trash. I'm not reading that, John, bro. You know what I mean? I'm just not. And so I'm not even gonna pull the rest of the series. I read some of Ultimate Wolverine. I thought that was cool, but like it's not what Absolute Superman is or Absolute Batman and all these things. And obviously, right? DCKO now expands the Absolute universe because now that we know, I mean, because we know that it was tied to the Omega and Darkseid, but now like Darkseid is ruling it with a very interesting kind of fist, if that makes sense, where he wants to give them a certain autonomy and freedom to do what they want, which is very interesting because when they find out that Darkseid is the guy that's running behind the scenes, I wonder what's going to happen. But I don't think we're going to find that out for years. Okay, so with Marvel, I don't think the problem is that they need an absolute universe. Okay, now here's the thing. Chip Zdarsky has a comic that's coming out in May, and let me just pull up my Comic Geeks app because I think if this run is what I think it is, it's going to save Marvel Comics. Okay, and some of y'all might think that I'm crazy, whatever, but let me just pull this up because I already pulled I think like the first few issues of it. Let me go to my pull list, and we're going to go to May. Hold on, y'all. Let me see. May 6th. That's May 29th, May 6th, May 13th. It might be in June. Hold on. It might be in June. Okay. So here it is. There's a comic that's coming out called Avengers Armageddon. Okay. So let me pull this up for you guys. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, here we go. So there's this comic that's coming out called Avengers Armageddon. And I'm going to be real, y'all. It looks gas, okay? This is written by Chip Zdarsky, a legend in Marvel Comics. And so let's read the description here. Armageddon has arrived. Red Hawk's devastating terror across the globe must be stopped, but it will take a colossal gathering of Earth's mightiest heroes to do it, calling in the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Wolverine, and more. But who will survive the superpowered cataclysm? There will be a pre-Armageddon Marvel Universe and a post-Armageddon Marvel U. Be here to bear witness to the transformation. So this is what I'm saying. DC, you better be ready to cook because I think Avengers Armageddon is going to be the DCKO for Marvel. I really do. And I watched a podcast with Chip where he was talking about this. And let's just say that Chip pretty much has the keys right now. So that is what I think is going to make DC or Marvel Comics blow up. Avengers Armageddon. So that's my answer to that. I don't think they need an absolute universe. I think if they copy, it's not going to hit. They already have like their ultimate universe, which is what their absolute is. Basically, just leave the alternate universe crap alone. And what you need to do is focus on this Avengers Armageddon. I think that's where you can find real, real stuff. Okay, let's see. Here's the thing: as long as Dick Grayson is in the Batman Part 2, then I don't mind watching this, waiting this long for Brave and the Bold. Hunger Almighty, do you really think Dick Grayson is going to be in the Batman 2? I don't think so. Facts, that Absolute Superman run was sick, bro. It's its peak. I'm not clocked into comics like that, but I want to. Any recommendations? I can give you a lot of recommendations, bro. Okay, so this is what I'll say. If you're talking about comics right now, all right, you need to read Black Panther Intergalactic. That is one of the best comics that I'm reading right now. That's fire. Cyclops just dropped their first. I think Cyclops issue 2 is dropping this week. I heard that's fire. I haven't read it. I need to read issue 1, but stuff that I'm reading. Okay, I am reading Action Comics Superman, which is like a Superboy story. Really fun, really fun. For some reason I'm a sucker for Superman comics. Don't know why. Another comic I love, Chip Zdarsky's Captain America. Peak, bro. You cannot go wrong with Chip's Captain America. He's working for Shield, working for like Nick Fury's sons. It's pretty cool. Or Nick Fury Jr. or whatever. It's pretty awesome. Not gonna lie. If you haven't, I would buy the 5 issues of DCKO and just read them. I know that DCKO just ended, but like it's a really dope run. I think that's something that everyone should read. And I just check my pull list too to make sure that I'm not missing. Okay, another one. There's a main Batman run that's also fire. I love that run. Let me see what else I'm reading. World's Finest. Okay, World's Finest, man. Another fire comic book run, bro. I literally just I love that comic run. Another one that's fire is Nightwing. The Nightwing run is so peak. I actually got my friend Carter to read it, and now he's hooked onto it. And you really could just jump in whenever. Like the thing about these stories I love is like you can really just jump into stories and just lock in and read it. And then if you want to find out what was going on, just comics explain your way up there. And if not, there's some comic, YouTube channel that'll help you catch up. Let's see what else I'm reading here. I don't have Moon Knight yet, but I heard that's fire. You can probably check that out. Let's see what else I'm reading. Checking my Comic Geeks guys to make sure. This series just ended, but Spider-Man Torn Gas. I think it's like a short 5-issue run. That's peak. A lot of the comic runs I'm reading like kind of just ended. But yeah, so I would say start with Black Panther Intergalactic. The whole entire premise is they go to space and they go intergalactic, and now they're like this galactic empire. And there's like a bunch of weird things that are going on that I'm not trying to spoil you on. But yeah, I would say Black Panther Intergalactic, World's Finest, Captain America, Nightwing. Also, what's cool is for the Superman and Spider-Man comic that comes out March 25th. I'm buying 3 different comic variants for that. I'm pretty excited about that. Justice League Unlimited is also cool. There's so many good comic book runs right now. But as you see, I just named mostly DC, bro. DC's cooking right now. But I do think Avengers Armageddon with Chip is going to level out the skills. Oh, could we see parallels to the Armageddon reset and the Secret Wars reset? Or am I reaching? I don't think so. Yo, sweet. I'll check out the Black Panther one for bro. Check it out, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Black Panther Intergalactic is fire, bro. I think Dick Grayson will be. I think Dick Grayson, at the very least, will make a cameo in the Batman Part 2. Hundred Mighty. Here's another question for you. Do you think they're making the Batman Part 3? Do you think that's a thing? I really don't, bro. I think this universe ends, bro, after the Batman 2. Imagine the Graysons died and their deaths are part of the larger conspiracy going on. The Bats along the way runs to a young Dick and has a moment with him, promise that he will find the person that did this. Would be fire. But does that mean that we get a Robin, though? And the question is, like, how do they make Robin fit into this universe? Because I think that also plays a part. Which means Batman kind of has to be larger than life, which they need to make him, which I don't think they did in the movie. He was a little too humanized. No, I don't think Batman Part 3 won't happen, but that doesn't mean the Dick Grayson cameo or I don't know if you want to speak about it, but did you see the beef what happened with Comics Explained? Are you talking about the race stuff with Comics Explained? Is that what you're referring to? When you had to like address race stuff, I think. I did tweet about it because I just thought it was funny. Because you guys know me, I don't take that stuff serious. I just care about the content. But if that is that what you're talking about, I think all that stuff is funny. The only way Robin fits in the Batman Part 2 is if Dick went on his own as Robin and Batman runs. That would be fire. or like he finds out that he's Batman, and then Alfred's been like helping him craft the costume. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the thing, bro. My ad is, I think, Loreverse. So the thing about that is like my I am so obsessed with a few things, right? The priorities of my life is my wife and first is God, because I am a pastor, right? Second is my son, and or my God, my wife, my son, right? Then my family, my friends, my pets. I have priorities. And so, like, with Comics Explained, it's like, bro, like, why would you even give these people your attention? Because all they're trying to do is bait you, and that's what I've learned is like, you can't fall for the bait, bro, and that's what I think he got caught up in. So I don't really care whether if he was right or wrong. Everyone, you live your life the way you want, right? I am not your father. You know what I'm saying? When I think of Comics Explained, he is on this earth to talk about comic books. I don't care about his race and all that other stuff. I'm going to comment on the way that he covers comic books. I don't give a crap about his personal life. And it's just the same way I don't think he gives a crap about mine. And that's the way that I view the world, man. Like with you guys, right? When you're on this channel, I'm not here to tell you my personal life. I'm here to talk about comic books and superhero movies and TV shows. And if people try to bait me into trying to talk about the race conversation and all this, I'm not a politician. I am a broadcaster of talking about superheroes. So yeah. So I don't believe in like using my platform to speak up for this and that. That's not my job, and that's not what I'm here to do. If I were to do that, I would have made a political podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what I'm here to do. So that's kind of my viewpoint, and it gives me more peace in my heart. You know what I mean? Because I just don't care. And when you have a child, and when you have like certain life events that happen, you just stop caring. Like when I had a child, everything just went out of the window. I stopped caring about a lot of stuff, and my main focus is to make sure that my wife and my son are taken like care of. And if that's cool, then I'm cool. So that'd be the best way to that I could say that is like Comics Explained, just focus on yourself, bro. Screw these people. Okay. Yeah, 100% agree. Keep the politics out of the superhero content. Exactly, bro. Like it's not like no one wins when the family feuds, right? No one wins when we have these conversations about stuff that like no one really cares about. At least when we're talking about superheroes. Superheroes for me was always an escape, right? But when I was a kid, right, like I used to always get in trouble. So like I used to read a bunch of books, and that's how I got into like Percy Jackson and comic books and stuff like that as a kid. And so that's what I view it as. It's an escape for us to have fun. Okay, now, next topic here. Let's get to business. Was Tony Stark right? Was Tony Stark always right? This came to my mind, okay, because Tony Stark, through his MCU era, was a skeptic. Okay. Tony Stark was viewed as a extremist. He was viewed as someone that was crazy. And let's go through the journey of Tony Stark's skepticism. Iron Man 1. Tony Stark finds out that his weapons are being used by terrorists. Okay. And by the way, that man was selling them Jones 500 million a missile. Bro, Tony was making the bag. But anyways, talk right there. Percy Jackson. Tony Stark finds out his weapons are being used by terrorists. And what happens, guys? What happens? Tony Stark shuts down Stark's Industries, the whole entire weapon division, and their company goes through a massive restructure. Obadiah Stane is obviously pissed off because he's a freaking money hungry little thought. Okay. Couldn't stand Obadiah Stane in that movie, and that was the point for me to hate him. And so we see that Tony Stark gets tight because what happens, right? Tony Stark. So there's this one scene in Iron Man 1 where Tony Stark is cranking. Oh, pause. But he's basically screwing in his repulsor, and he sees that his weapons are being used again for mass destruction. So what does Iron Man do, y'all? He gets pissed off. He flies to that place in the Mideast and kills them all. What does that show us? Tony Stark has a mission, right? And that mission is to protect the people that he loves and to protect the things that he created. Now, what does that do? It goes so far that it thrusts itself into Iron Man 2, where we see that Tony Stark is now dying. Okay. The arc reactor is killing him. Okay. For some reason, the element, he needs to make a new element. So what does Tony Stark do? He's like like a lot of us look past the first scene in Iron Man 1 or in Iron Man 2 when he jumps out of the helicopter. But what that scene is telling us, right, is that Tony Stark is trying to go out and on his own terms. And he's trying to live life like it's his last because that's the way he feels, which is why he turns to alcohol. He turns doing these parties and racing and making the Iron Man suit a part of him. Why? Because he's dying. It leads into Avengers 1, where Tony Stark is looked at as a selfish douchebag. And what does Tony Stark do? At the end of Avengers 1, he flies the nuke up into the sky, destroys Thanos' army, the Chitauri, blows up the mothership, right? He falls down, Hulk saves him. Iron Man 3 comes around. Tony Stark is having freaking dreams, PTSD. PTSD is going on because, he's still having thoughts about the Chitauri. But here's the thing that no one talks about. Tony always knew after he put that nuke in the air that something was coming. He always knew that. Tony always knew there was a bigger evil coming. So Tony always knew about Thanos. Even though Tony might not have known that it was Thanos, he knew someone like Thanos was coming back. And that leads us to where we get the icing on the cake, Age of Ultron. He gets the Tesseract. He's like, okay, I've had these visions. I need to create something to protect this vision from not happening. And what happens? His vision leads to Ultron, the sentient being that he tried to merge with Jarvis because he wanted to give Jarvis, because Jarvis had, a type of calm mind. Ultron fights against Jarvis, hurts Jarvis, and then he becomes an evil robot. Tony Stark freaks out, and then he creates his actual vision, or what his vision was supposed to be, which is Vision. And that's what's beautiful about this, guys, is that, the Vision, so here's the thing. Ultron was Tony Stark's vision. Vision is Tony Stark's fixed vision. Vision is what was supposed to happen. But so here's the thing that you have to understand. Ultron is a product of when Tony Stark merges himself into something to fix something. Vision is when Tony Stark doesn't think about himself to save, to do the right thing. That's something that a lot of people don't get. Ultron is with Tony Stark's personality. Vision is without Stark. Jarvis is not Stark. Ultron is basically an evil Tony Stark. Really, it's not really evil. It's you don't even need to call Ultron evil. It's Tony Stark in the most extremist way possible, because he's an extremist. He said to Bruce Banner in Age of Ultron, "We're mad scientists." You know what I'm saying? Now here's the question. So far, was Tony wrong for creating Ultron? No, he was not wrong. He was not. But what he was wrong for was putting his own self into Ultron. That's where he went wrong. Now we go to Civil War, right? Now we see that, at the end of Age of Ultron, Tony Stark says, okay, I'm off the Avengers team. I'm going to focus on Pepper and my situation. Cool. But what happens? We go to Civil War. And now we see that Tony Stark is now dealing with other crap. Because now we're in a situation where, Wanda accidentally kills, innocent people. And I'm pretty sure they were what was it? I think they were a bunch of people that traveled the nations or whatever. And they were Wakandans. So now T'Challa's dad is involved trying to play diplomat. So now we see that Tony Stark got approached by a lady about a casualty, and he feels bad. So now he's trying to force that on the Avengers, because now Tony's dream is coming back. The vision that he had in Iron Man 3, which is everybody dying, which I didn't even talk about this, but we also saw a vision of everybody dying in Age of Ultron, and people don't understand that still freaking haunts, Tony Stark. That's the vision that haunts him all the way up until Endgame, right? So now we see Tony crash out. It's a grounded situation. He fights Steve. We all know the story. So now the Avengers are broken up. And here's the thing. What happened in Age of Ultron, right? And this is biblical right here. MCU Bible, right? Tony said, you know, what will we do when the threat comes? Steve says we'll fight it together. Tony says we'll lose. And Steve says we'll do that together too. But now the Avengers are freaking broken up. So when we go to Infinity War, they do lose separately. And mind you, Tony Stark now is in space without his team. And what Avengers Infinity War shows us is that number one, Tony Stark is the heart of the Avengers, and I 100% believe that if Tony was on Earth, none of this would have happened. Like if Tony got to talk to Steve, they would have won. And y'all might think I'm crazy. I think they're beating Thanos if Tony's there with Thor at his full power, etc. Another Easter egg that a lot of people don't know, and this is why we need to give Tony Stark more respect in Avengers in Infinity War. Did you guys know that Tony Stark did not have Friday when he was on Titan? Because he was in space, he lost access to his AI, which meant, guys, that all of the constructs that Tony Stark was creating was from his own mind. He had no assistance when he was fighting, which is why we didn't hear Friday talking to him during the movie. A lot of people don't know that. But the reason why we don't hear Friday talking to him like we always do in all of the other Avengers movies is because of the fact that he's in space. So now he can't, he can't fight. Or he doesn't have that extra, those extra eyes when he's fighting. And which is why the suit in Endgame kind of pisses me off. I wish he was the same suit, because if he had that same suit fighting against Thanos in Endgame, they would have cooked him easily. But obviously, he had to make the suit that was more powerful for taking on the gauntlet. That's why that suit isn't really a combat suit. I understand. And so now we see in Endgame, right? We see in Endgame that now Tony Stark, the dreams happen, right? Everybody that's important mostly is gone. He's cowered up. He's got a daughter now. He's with Pepper. Now he has a new vision that he has to protect. It's no longer about his weapons. It's now about protecting his daughter and wife. But now we get to a point to where Tony had to make the ultimate decision. The same way that Tony secretly created Ultron, he secretly created a gauntlet. A gauntlet that fits into his suit. And basically, Tony Stark puts the stones in his gauntlet and snaps. And because of that snap, his dream is complete. He defeated his nightmare. But here's the thing. Now his nightmare has created a multiversal rift, and now we're in the multiversal war. So nuts to that idea. But now, right, with Tony Stark, it poses the question, was Tony Stark always right? He was always right. And the Avengers just weren't awakened enough to see this. But the issue was they were too busy fighting each other in Civil War, not thinking about the fact that there was a problem coming. They should have been trying to find the Hulk and all these other characters and actually trying to figure out what was going on behind the scenes, but they didn't. So Tony was right, but the way that Tony went about things were wrong. And that's the best way to say it. Tony Stark, I don't think, was wrong in his assessment, but the way he did it, the way he went to answer the problems, that was wrong. And that's what makes it sad. All right, let's see what we're saying here. Let's see. Okay. Percy Jackson mentioned, right? Love that. I love Percy Jackson. By the way, did you watch season 2? Season 2 was fire. Okay. I do have a question for you. If it turns out that MCU Tony Stark is a Victor Von Doom variant adopted by the Starks, would you be angry, or is it one of these things where you have to see it play out? Okay, so initially I would be pissed off, but I have to see how it plays out, because my heart has warmed up to the idea. Because honestly, bro, where my head is at right now is I don't necessarily care about the origin of Doctor Doom. I just want to know that we have Doctor Doom. And if he's a Tony Stark variant, now here's the thing, though, Hungry. If he's a Tony Stark variant, they have to explain that. How do you explain that? I just don't know because the way that the multiversal rules are set, it just wouldn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? It really wouldn't. So they would have to make it make sense. And based on that, that will make me decide on whether if I like it or not. But I could care less about Doctor Doom's origin. For me personally, I don't mind that theory as long as we get the real Tony Stark post Secret Wars. True. I've always tried that theory in the back of my mind since RDJ as Doom was announced because of that scene from Endgame where Iron Man pauses when talking about his mom being dead. Wait, what? Pregnant. Oh yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that theory that when Howard Stark says that she's pregnant, they said that Tony Stark pauses because he's like, bro, this isn't the year I was born. Interesting. Could it be that he was on another Earth and it wasn't a timeline? Could be true. Was Tony right? Yes, but the execution was wrong. 100%. Oh, cool. Never thought about it like that. In Ultron versus bro. And that's the way that I think a lot of people. I think that's the meaning behind Avengers: Age of Ultron. and is that the creation of Ultron was based on pride and based on Tony Stark being the answer, and Tony Stark learns that when I think I'm the answer, we lose. And when I get something more powerful than my answer, we win. It's very powerful symbolism. Okay, Josh from the Nerds brought this up, but Tony in the comics is adopted. So maybe instead of Tony being the son of Amanda Armstrong, like the comics in the MCU, Tony's biological mom is Cynthia Von Doom. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't know what to think about that. That just sounds interesting. I'll have to give this more thought. Essentially, MCU Tony Stark would be a loose adaptation of infamous Iron Man when you think about it. Yeah, don't like that. Don't like that language, to be honest. I don't know. What if the nightmare is a manifestation of his inner subconscious Doom, who is known for his ego? Nightmare is indirectly implying that everyone loses because of him, as he is solely responsible. So you're saying, like, what if? So are you saying, and you might have just cooked? Are you asking me what if Tony Stark was dreamwalking? That would be crazy. So Wanda showed him that vision, but it was really a dreamwalk. Yeah, it was better. She's 100%, bro. Way better. No, MCU Tony is a Victor. No, MCU Tony is a Victor variant, not Victor being a Tony variant. Yeah. Huh. But here's the thing, though. Like, so then it would be that Tony Stark was always a Von Doom. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Because then he's always been a Von Doom, which would mean that would mean a lot, bro. That would be very interesting. I don't know, man. And you could just use the excuse of He Who Remains, just like allowed, like he's the one that molded that to happen. You could just use that excuse, honestly. Who knows? But these are very good theories that I need to do more research on, and I might make a freaking video about, because this is y'all are cooking. Okay. Now let me crash out about freaking Grogu for a second, because this really pissed me off earlier. Okay. So here we go. And then after this, we're going to get into some fun stuff. Okay. I have some really fun topics that I really want you guys to engage in. And it's basically like, what is the best comic book movie out of this group, but what's the best version of the Hall of Justice, stuff like that, because I just really love talking about those type of topics, not just news. Okay, so here it is. Kylie Kennedy says Grogu will not speak in The Mandalorian and Grogu. He's another perfect example of a character that has to emote and you have to feel connected to, and he never speaks a word. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this real quick. This is so stupid. One of my biggest critiques with Grogu is that he's been a vegetable for the past 6 to 10 years. They're so dumb. The Mandalorian will be 10 times more popular if Grogu had a lightsaber, and if he could talk, and if he could jump around and actually be a Jedi. Them doing this again is so stupid, and this movie will flop because Grogu is stupid and he's pointless, and the cuteness overload of Grogu is super old. Nobody wants to see a baby Grogu. Nobody wants to see a vegetable Grogu. We want to see Grogu grown up as an adult, killing people and fighting with Mandalorian. with Mando with a green lightsaber looking like Yoda, and then we want to see him join Rey or whoever the frick is in the future because fans already hate Rey. So you need to find someone that people love, and Grogu would have been a perfect character to put with that. That's my rant. Okay, very simple. This is stupid. Whatever. Next topic. Okay, now let's have some fun. Now this question is: what is the best comic book movie of this group? Okay, I want to hear you guys' comments. So let's name the movies in this group: Batman Forever, Superman Returns, Iron Man 2, Green Lantern, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and Fantastic Four. Shockingly, this was a hard decision for me to choose because off the bat, I said Fantastic Four. Y'all might think I'm crazy. I think the Fantastic Four movie is so peak, man, and it doesn't get the love that it freaking deserves. But if we were talking the best comic book movie out of this, right? Because I do think the best comic book movie has a different criteria. Because now we are talking about comic book accuracy, right? So if we are going by accuracy, okay, gonna be real with y'all, man. I gotta go Batman Forever. I think Batman Forever is one of the best comic book movies of all time. Gonna be real with you. That's what I'm going. I'm going Batman Forever. Second, I'm going Iron Man. Third, I'm going Fantastic Four. So Superman Returns is a good movie. It's all right, It's basically just a Christopher Reeves remake, and it's supposed to be a continuation of Christopher Reeves Superman. So I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I do remember my dad took me to see it. I think my whole family went actually when it came out. Green Lantern. I like the movie actually. It gets too much hate, but it's not even and shouldn't even make this list. X-Men Origins Wolverine, another movie that gets a lot of hate that I don't really think is that bad, but no. So that's kind of what I think. Let's see. Yeah, like was he always a Von Doom, hence why his dreams and nightmares showed the dark side? That would be crazy. But here's the question: did the dream show? Well, so then that'll have to mean that when Captain America grabs his arm and says, "You could have saved us," right? In Age of Ultron, that means that he's talking to Victor Von Doom, not to Tony Stark. Which does that make sense? Haven't seen what? You haven't seen Superman Returns, bro? You gotta watch that, bro. Superman Returns is fire. Psych. It's not fire, but it's all right. It's all right. I watched Batman Forever hella young, and that scared me like crazy, bro. Batman Forever. So giddy. Hey, bro. What's up, dog? Batman Forever, bro, is such a good movie. You should watch it. I really enjoyed Batman Forever. And I actually watch Batman Forever very often. And then I watched it back a couple years, and it was so funny. Yeah, I think Batman Forever is such a good movie. Doesn't get enough love for real. Needs to get more love. Okay, next topic here. What is the best version of the Hall of Justice? Now, here are some options, okay, that they have. Super Friends, the comics, Young Justice, Arrowverse, Super Pets, Injustice, another comics, and the DCU. Now, y'all might think I'm crazy. Super Friends, bro. I think the Super Friends has the best Hall of Justice of all time, mostly because in the Super Friends show, they spend a lot of time in the hall. That's what I'm saying. Like, if we're going by, like, the best version. But if we're being real, it might be Young Justice. Because Super Friends is more so my opinion. But if I'm being, like, real, I will probably go Young Justice might be the best. But that Super Friends Hall of Justice just does something to me, man. It gets my spidey senses tingling. Yeah. I love it. So, I don't know. I wonder what you guys think. What is the best Hall of Justice? I have bias towards Young Justice because that was legit my job. Bro, I understand, bro. I understand. And Young Justice was like, I was like a little bit older. I was probably like 13 or 14, but I loved Young Justice. And then the fall off of Young Justice was actually kind of sad. It was actually kind of sad to fall off of that show. But my childhood was more Justice League Unlimited, Superman, the animated series. That was kind of my childhood. So like I kind of lived through peak. You know what I'm saying? Like I lived through a lot of peak. I did live through peak animation, bro. I really did. Okay. Next one here. What is the best version of Gwen Stacy? Gwen Stacy, y'all. Now, here are the versions that we're going to bring up, okay? Let's see what you guys think. Okay, so we got The Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man the Show, Raimi Spider-Man Gwen Stacy, Spectacular Spider-Man Gwen Stacy, Ultimate Spider-Man Gwen Stacy. Oh my gosh, she looks terrible. She looks ugly. TASM, okay? The TASM movie Gwen Stacy. This random Marvel Spider-Man Gwen Stacy. Don't even know what show she's from. And Into the Spider-Verse Gwen Stacy. Now, a lot of us, right? A lot of people are going to say Spider-Verse. Now, I've got to be real, man. Emma Stone's the best Gwen Stacy, bro. We got to keep it a stack. Bryce Dallas Howard, the only reason why I would say that is just because she's beautiful. That's not a valid enough reason, okay? That's not a valid enough reason for, okay? It's not. So I'm going to say Emma Stone. Isn't her name Emma Stone? Emma Stone is the best Gwen Stacy, in my opinion. She was probably the only highlight from the TASM, other than the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. She was the perfect highlight. How do you feel about the Ravens Max Crosby trade? Did it just not go through? Tell me if that's true. I heard that the Max Crosby trade didn't go through. Let me know if that's true. And if so, my friend Brendan is getting roasted. Let me just see if he got cooked. He's probably getting cooked right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, bro. He's crashing out. Let me see. Okay, so my friend sent that. Yeah, he's getting cooked right now. Okay. Emma Stone easily. Okay, yes. I'm pretty sure we just bet on a trade. That's crazy, bro. Emma Stone easily. I never viewed Gwen and Spider-Gwen as the same thing. I get that, but she is technically Gwen Stacy. But you and I are on the same page. I'm also with Emma Stone easily, bro. It might not even be a competition about who's the better Gwen Stacy. And the animated ones don't even stand a chance, bro. Like that Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker relationship was peak. Now, next question. Is Into the Spider-Verse the best Spider-Man movie ever made? A lot of people talk about this, bro. Now, I'm going to tell you my opinion. I think Across the Spider-Verse is levels better than Into the Spider-Verse. Y'all might call me crazy for saying that, but that's just my opinion. I think Across the Spider-Verse is like a goated movie. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. Am I wrong for thinking that Across the Spider-Verse is better than Into the Spider-Verse? Hey, yo, I got to go, but I'll see you next stream. All right, bro. Stay crispy. Peace out, man. I'm going to go with Across the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie of all time. I will go with that. Or I would actually, you know what? Like, man, I think Spider-Man Homecoming is the best Spider-Man movie of all time. Call me crazy. I'm kidding. It is my favorite, but it's definitely not the best. If I was to choose a Spider-Verse movie though to be the best all time, I'm going with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That's where I would go. So, all right. Now, that is all we got for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. An hour and 28 minutes of me just yapping. Hope you guys enjoyed my little yap session. The first one, bro. Yeah, no, I was joking. I think that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie of all time. That's, Miles running from all the different Spider-Man. I don't think there's going to be any Spider-Man moment that captures that. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of, Talking on Pod, episode 24. Hope you guys please like this podcast. Check out the clips that come from this podcast as well and subscribe to this channel. Hope you guys have a great day. Stay crispy and peace out.